The black shirt is back this week. You're welcome. Let's jump into coffee chat for this week. So if you have ever messed something up, I would assume you felt the way that I felt, like that sense of, oh, like the pit in the stomach kind of drops, or at least that's the way, like in my body, that I experience that moment where I really know that I messed up. And this kind of gets into how we handle shame and think through our self-worth in relation to mistakes that have been made. But when you step away from those things and begin to realize that shame doesn't have to be a part of mistakes that are made, then we get to a place where we can really begin to own those things. And that's the really kind of like focus of today's coffee chat. And we talked about it in the newsletter, but I want to draw it out for you this week in the way that I visualize it so that we can kind of conceptualize apologizing is actually one of the most crucial interpersonal relationship, whether in your personal life, your business life, and your relationship to your friends, thing ever. Because I find that a lot of people don't know how to apologize. So let's get into it. The way that I view this is, let's imagine that in this circle is the problem. And sometimes we're tempted to say, okay, well, I am the problem. And we put ourselves in here and we say, this is who we are. We are in the problem. We are the problem, like we're one and the same. Now, what I think is a healthier way to view this is I am outside the problem. Now, the way that this begins to go sideways when we view ourselves outside the problem is this. This person is now looking over here and they're saying, I refuse to see that the problem is there. And they put up this little wall there. Or let's imagine this other person who views themselves at least outside of the problem, which is good. The problem isn't who they are. They're like, you know what? Yeah, it's kind of there. I kind of notice it, but then I'm going to blame someone else for it. I'm just going to reject responsibility for it altogether. I think there is a third way that is helpful, which is, hey, I am not this problem. The problem is not me. The mistake is not me. But I am going to fully own it, and I'm going to transform this into this little checkbox is going to represent a solution. And so this can best be visualized in my mind in this way. Imagine that we are walking down a path here, and this path goes before us, and on either side of the path there are these two boundaries. And like imagine that these kind of boundaries are like big walls. Okay, perspective is off a little here. That's okay. You know where I'm going here. And in the middle of this path, there is like this big like rock, right? And like this wall over here is like, just for scale, because we're already in the weeds. This is 20 feet high. This is 20 feet high. Okay, not an architect. Okay, don't judge my drawings here. Just roughing it out. 20 feet high. There's no way we're scaling it. It's made out of glass, smothered in polymer, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, there's no way we can climb it. So I think a lot of people will see as we direct ourselves towards this path, they'll say, oh my goodness, there's a problem in the way. And this problem again represents the mistake. Okay, so we'll call this mistake or the problem. And they'll say, okay, well, I'm just going to go back the other way. And that's not a good idea. Or they'll say, maybe I can climb up the wall, which is kind of the neglecting responsibility. It's the, I want to do anything I can other than like embrace this. But what we know about healthy accountability is we walk towards this problem and we go all the way through it to the other side. It's this idea in my mind of embracing discomfort as a way of transforming a challenge or a mistake or a problem. And one of the best things I think that any of us can do is to begin to realize that we can think objectively and unemotionally about our mistakes. And let me make an important caveat here. This isn't mistakes like infidelity. This isn't mistakes like you stole a bunch of money. This isn't mistakes like you punched someone in the throat unprovoked. I don't know. That's like a different thing. Those are character issues, those are moral failings, okay? And even in those, I do think that shame is not a healthy, well, you should feel some shame because you have violated, you have hurt someone, right? But I think that in order to move through those things, it's actually similar to this. We have to begin to say, Own it, transform it, move through it. But for really this illustration's purpose, I am really talking about like you committed to do something in a work situation or a personal, with your friends or your family, and you failed to do it, or you hurt someone's feelings because you said something that ultimately was hurtful to them. And so moving towards that, saying, hey, I'm going to move forward this with intention and with the intention to fully own it is super important. Now, here's a super important, this is like if you don't get anything else, please understand this. This illustration of moving forward, the only way to continue on the path is through the problem, is fully embracing it. To fully embrace it, you must avoid one major pitfall that nearly everyone falls into until they become conscious of it. And that is to avoid the big monster that will jump out as soon as you try to move through it. And it is in all caps here, the but, not B-U-T-T, okay? Although that is funny because but is a funny word. I have little kids at home. The butt monster. I'm sorry. I didn't think about that until I said it out loud, I promise. That big kind of like temptation to, at the very last minute, veer off course and try to blame someone else is the thing that's going to stand in your way most often when trying to apologize. And it comes across oftentimes like this. I want to say that I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Should not have said what I said. But when you said this, that's how I wanted to respond. You made me angry. And really what that gets translated into that person's ears as is, I'm sorry, and it's going great. They're hearing you own what you did in humility. And then the moment you say but, you turn into this really annoying person. Okay, it's like the people on social media who begin their replies in a controversial setting with actually, and all I hear when someone types that is actually, and it's like the most annoying, obnoxious middle school reply ever. It's just the person who wants to be right instead of do right. You know what I'm saying? So avoid the butt monster, okay? Avoid the butt that comes right as you begin apologizing, because the moment that you veer off course, what they begin to hear, the person that you're apologizing to, is it's not an apology anymore. You're actually blaming them. It's like a gaslighty way of apologizing, which is a non-apology. Any apology that has a but, any apology that contains a but somewhere in there is a non-apology. So it's really important that when you fully own it, it might sound something like this. I want to just be honest with you for a second, and I always try to be honest, but I want to be especially vulnerable is what I'm meaning right now. I was feeling pretty stressed. Let me do this in the context of apologizing to my wife for being snippy. When I came home from work today, and instead of regulating, instead of explaining how I felt or taking a moment to gather myself, I lashed out at you. I was being a smart aleck. I said something snippy. I was short with you. I was rude to you, and that is inappropriate. And I want to fully own that, because that's not who I want to be, and that's not who you deserve from me. And I want to do better. So I want you to know that I am sorry for not having self-control in that moment. That's an apology. There was no but in there. It was fully, I'm responsible for this. I'm going to take accountability for this. And I think that when we all begin stepping forward with that type of apology in relationships and that level of accountability, it begins to change the foundation of everything. I mean, it completely changes the dynamics in interpersonal relationships, whether in your business life or your personal life. And so I want to encourage you with that. That's this week's Coffee Chat. I hope you have a great weekend. And if nothing else, listen, go watch some Ted Lasso. I know we talked about it a lot this week, but go watch some Ted Lasso. I'll see you guys later. Onward.